Hey guys, the reviewer here, continuing my anniversary specials, what have you, leading up to my big season finale of my 10th anniversary. And my next list, after doing my top 10 favorite movies and top 10 favorite games, is going to be my top 10 favorite TV shows. Now, I know I have done reviews of shows in the past, but I've usually only done like a review of like the pilot. But there's been a lot of shows I've watched where I've never done really any videos about, and I want to change that. And at number 10, we have Sherlock. Now, if you don't know, I think you probably must by this point, but like, I'm a big fan of detectives, and Sherlock happened to come out right around the time that Sherlock Holmes came out back in 2009. In fact, I have a bit of wait, or did Sherlock? I don't know. Sherlock may have come out in 2009 or 2009. Either way, like 2009, I think was the year that yeah, it was 2009 because that was when I started my show. Anyway, in fact, that's my first video. That was the first video I ever did. I'm not even kidding. If you go to my YouTube channel, Far Cry 223, and go to the very, very bottom, you'll see a Sherlock Holmes review. First video I ever did. Well, technically, I did a video about Elder Scrolls Oblivion, but oddly enough, I could never find it. Like, I swear, like, I couldn't find the video itself because I posted it on YouTube. I don't know what account I posted it on, and I could not for the life of me find it. And in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't because I don't know that one. I kind of have to think of, I can't watch my older videos because of my squeakiness. I shouldn't be doing this right now. I should leave that for my reflections video on Tuesday. Okay, so Sherlock is a modern day adaptation of the character of Sherlock Holmes. And the reason that this show works is because A, each episode is 90 minutes. So I almost kind of view this series as like it's a series, but I always kind of view each episode as a movie because they're all 90 minutes long, each episodes. So if you were to sit down and be like, I want to watch all four series of Sherlock Holmes or Sherlock, you could do it in a day. You could probably do it in a day or so, probably a day or two, probably a day. But oh my God, it is so worth it because Benedict Cumberbatch is phenomenal as Sherlock. Like, because Sherlock Holmes is like this character who's very nuanced and subtle, and like the way that Cumberbatch plays him is he does it so spectacularly, and I love him for that. In fact, I would also throw this as a year that the world became aware of Benedict Cumberbatch, and the world is a much better place for it because he is one of my favorite actors. And you also have Martin Freeman playing John Watson, and they work off of each other perfectly because John is the level-headed, reasonable one, and Sherlock is the one who's like, I want to do all this crazy stuff to try and figure out the crime. And that's why I love this show. It's one of those shows I fell in love with. I don't ever think I've watched series two. I swear I should rectify that, but I've never watched series two. I watched series one, watched series three, I watched series four, and I love them because they're all like there's not really any connections between the episodes, so logically, like with each series of it, you could jump onto that season and you'd be able to follow it for the most part. And I just love it for that. And that's number 10. And number 9 is the Casagrandes. Now, I may be cheating with this one because it only premiered this year, but I can do what I want, whatever. But the thing is, when I heard they were doing a spin-off about like a spin-off for the Loud House, I was a little tiny bit skeptical because, spin-offs can be hit or miss. They can sometimes work, or they can be like, okay, there was really no need to make a spin-off. But the reason I feel that the Casagrandes works so well is that it's not a carbon copy of the Loud House. Like, it has the same, like, I'll admit the storyline, it has similar formula that the Loud House does, but it's not, like, the exact same show. And the characters are really relatable. The stories are fun to watch, and I just really appreciate when they do a spin-off that doesn't seem like it was just done for just, quick buck. Like, it could have been an easy carbon copy, just be like, oh, it's the Loud House, but with a Hispanic family. But it's so much more than that. And I absolutely love this show. I'm also pretty happy about the fact when it's been airing in Canada, it's airing, or how it airs in the States. And the thing is, within Canada, it actually does air like a day after it came on in the States. I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because a lot of animated series, for whatever reason, never sync up with the States. There's like that rare moment when they do, and then it always seems to be when a show does a hiatus. That's when the synchronization stops. That's when that stops, and I really love the Casagrandes, and I can't wait to see where this show goes. And my next show on the list is Elementary. Again, another Sherlock, but this one was the one that they did I think it was like 2012 or 2020. Well, it was 2011 or 2012, I think, when Elementary came on, and the Sherlock one was still riding high. Like, there's still the public conscience was aware of Sherlock. So it was very interesting to hear when they were going to be doing an American version of Sherlock. And the biggest thing I was interested about when when it was coming out was the fact that they had Lucy Liu playing Joan Watson. Yeah, they did a gender swap for Watson, but it works so well because you have Johnny Lee Miller playing Sherlock Holmes, and he's this damaged character. Like, you can see, like, he has a lot of issues. I mean, like, the drug problem, like, there's a lot of different things, and Joan is basically his like sponsor that's helping him out not relapse. There were a few times in the series he does relapse, and it is intense when you see that happen because I'm kind of spoiling, but I kind of want to, but there is like one season that ends with Sherlock practically beating a man to he doesn't beat man to death, this like a suspect to death, but he beats them. Like, there's a scene where he brutally beats a guy, and it's a terrifying scene because, yeah, we've seen Sherlock snap a couple of times, but you never at that point saw him snap that point where you're like, what, he was gonna kill something, like he was on the verge of wanting to kill someone. And the show works so well because you have Johnny Lee Miller doing a fantastic job as Sherlock Holmes, Lucy Liu doing a great job as Joan Watson. Like, that worked really well in its favor. And the other thing that worked well in his favor, and I was also really surprised at that, was they made Moriarty a woman in Elementary. And that one, I'm like, okay, that actually kind of makes sense. And Moriarty was a very interesting character in Elementary. Like, she was a villain, of course, because, Moriarty. But the fact that they did that, I was like, okay, that's impressive. That's interesting that they did two reversals for the genders, and it worked well. And the other thing I liked was that the way season one ended, the first season ends in such a way that if it hadn't have been renewed, that would have been okay, because the way the first season ended, it wrapped up the story. So they kind of, I guess they must have shot the first episode, first season of this show, and this is the way we're gonna end it in case this doesn't go on. It went on for 8 seasons. Like, that's the thing, because last year the seventh season of the show started in was one of the shows that had a later start. Like, they started in the summer, and I thought, like, okay, that's good. That was a bit of like a possible warning sign of like, okay, well, they're probably gonna be like, oh, season 7 is the final season. So when it was renewed for another season, I was like, well, that's cool. And the way it ends, I'm not gonna spoil how it ends, but it ends kind of poignant. The ending's kind of cool. It has a very similar ending to the way that Sherlock ended. Yeah, that's number 8. And number 7 is The Loud House. Now, I love this show to death. I really love this show. It's a fun show to watch. It's a very... Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze. I apologize. Um, The Loud House is a show that I really love. It's one of those shows I consider to be very relatable and very well done. Because I've seen some people throw criticism at each of the sisters, and some hate certain episodes of the show, like Brawl in the Family. And I'm just gonna say one thing that I don't ever see anyone ever say about that episode, and I say that episode happens because of PMS. Like if you're not if you're not a woman, I'm not, of course, but I know that PMS is something that when the woman goes through that time of the month, they get very moody, and that's the thing I always think with this episode. They're both Lori and Lenny were going through that time of the month, and that just happened to go over to the other sisters. Now, I've seen lots of people say, "Oh, it's because of the fact that there was a fight." I'm like, families fight. It's a thing. Like the fact that episode has such a like is considered by May to be the worst episode of the show. I'm like, I don't see it because families fight, siblings fight. It's a thing. Sibling rivalry. I mean, like you most siblings, even if you have problems with them, you still love them, despite there's times where they push your buttons. And that's another. I'm gonna. But anyway, like I feel the show is very relatable. It's very funny, and there's many times they'll sneak in like little adult jokes that like I'm like, how do you get that past the censors? Because in the episode Space Invaders, um, there's a joke where Lynn's like, I'm noticing it's the three lack of balls in this room, and to a younger viewer, they probably wouldn't get that joke, but to someone who was an older viewer, I laughed at that. I was like, how the hell did they get that joke past the censors? And the other one is in It's a Mad Loud House, or Loud House. There's a joke where Luna is like, oh, I just wrote a song that our family going on the road. Hello, it's like, okay, that's probably one of my favorite song references Luna's done. I was like, oh wow, they were gonna do a Highway to Hell reference. Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. I love Luna's probably my favorite, mainly just because of the references. Because there's so many references she makes to songs, and some of them I don't get, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of that one flew over me. But a lot of them, I'm like, okay, that's clever. That's very clever. And my sixth favorite show of all time is Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. I am a big fan of this show, and I actually have gotten to meet both Bryce Papenbrook and Christina V. I met Bryce Papenbrook in 2015 or 2017, and I was starstruck basically because I was like, I love the character of Cat Noir. I love this show. The animation, it's very well animated. It's not like serialized, like it kind of is, but there are a lot of episodes you could jump on and watch, and there's you'd be able to follow for the most part. And I love getting to meet him. He's a really wonderful guy. And then I got to meet Christina V this year along with Bryce again. Again, he was great, and she's absolutely lovely. And I'm going to show you something that I don't do. Or, I don't usually do something like this on stream. Oh, damn it. I was going to show you, I have, okay, what? Yeah, I have the volume 4 I have of the DVDs for season 1 of Miraculous. I have signed by both Bryce and Christina V. I got Bryce's signature back in 2015, 17 when I went to Fan Expo, and then got her to sign that same cover again when I went this year. And sorry about that. And I love the way this show is because I consider this show to be one of those shows that is a gender neutral show. Because, yes, it's primarily made for girls. I'm not going to deny that. But it doesn't, what's the right word? It doesn't do like a thing where it's like, oh, it's primarily made for girls, but like it's like, oh my god, no, guys aren't gonna like it. But because I feel that the action in this show is well done, the animation is top notch, and the cat puns are wonderful. I love the pun. I love puns just because one, Cat Noir and Ladybug work off of each other so well, and there was a thing when I watched the first season where I'd always kind of groan a little bit at the cat puns. But then I'm like, oh no, these are actually kind of clever. Like these are very, very cleverly done. And oh, I love this show. I love this show so much, and I cannot wait for the movie that comes out in uh 2021. I think it's 2020. There's a movie coming out in like 2021, I think, and I cannot wait for that because the movie that's coming out in 2021 is going to be. I think the creators have said like it's going to be a bridge between season 4 and season 5, and like that to me works well. And I'm like, I hope it gets. I'm assuming it's going to get a theatrical release or at least like an online digital release. But like, I seriously hope that it gets like a theatrical release and it's not just like one of those like, oh hey, limited time screening or limited event thing. Like I hope it gets a wide distribution because I wouldn't blink at the chance of going to see a Cat in a Miraculous movie in theaters. I wouldn't blink at that. I know I'd be like 25 or 24 depending on when it's released, but I wouldn't. That wouldn't that take away from me going to see it at all. I'd still go see it regardless of how old I am because it's the same way with the Loud House movie because that's happening in 2021. But I'm still in that like I'm still gonna watch that regardless because it's a Netflix movie. But there's a thing in me that goes like, well, wait, they started production on it in like 20 like they started production on it this year, and I know like animation takes a long time, so I wonder if it's possible that they have the 2021 is just like the tentative date of like the to be determined date. Because I'd love if that happened if it was like, oh hey look, they have a date now set for sometime in like September or like sometime like either early 2020 or late 2020. I'd be like, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Anyway, the reviewer signing out.